Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to hit up the follow-up video from the part one of WorldCoin and sort of continue on our breakdown of WorldCoin and all the different elements of it from the white paper. And so today we're going to talk about the proof of personhood and the tokenomics too as well. So just stay tuned for the entire video before you make your investment choices, right? So when we look at the proof of personhood, right, so it goes on to break down. It says different applications have different requirements for POP, right? For high stakes use cases such as global UBI, universal basic income, right? The democratic governance of AI and the WorldCoin project, a highly secure and inclusive POP mechanism to prevent multiple registrations is needed, right? So therefore, the WorldCoin developer community with the WorldCoin Foundation is laying the foundations for a high assurance proof of personhood mechanism with World ID, right? So World IDs are issued to every unique human through biometric verification devices, right? So those are devices that we're talking about in the earlier video. If you haven't caught that one yet, you can go ahead and check that one out. We did it yesterday, so go ahead and check that one out. And yeah, so you guys don't get lost, right? So the white paper goes on to read about it says it here, it says with the first such device being the orb, right? So the orb is, again, we talked about it in the previous video, so we won't get into it right now, but it says the following sections walk through the fundamental building blocks of the POP and how those are implemented in the context of World ID, right? So here, if you scroll down, it talks about the building blocks. You can see here the chart where it's talking about the proof of personhood mechanism consists of three different actors in the data that they exchange, right? So you have the issuer, the user, and the verifier, right? And again, they're using zero knowledge proofs, right? So again, zero knowledge proofs is being able to have the issuer and the verifier be able to verify what's true without each individual not being able to know any personal identifying information from each other, right? So that's the idea of zero knowledge proofs. I think it'll become more prevalent as crypto moves on. But anyways, when we scroll down here, it basically showcases all the different credentials and determining factors in regards to all the different elements of the proof of personhood, right? So you have the user, the credentials, the issuer, and the verifier, right? And as we continue to scroll down, you have deduplication, right? So when we try to, let's just look at this real quick. It says that for a POP to be useful, it needs to have a notion of uniqueness, right? So if the POP can be acquired multiple times and transferred to fraudulent actors or bots, it cannot be trusted and fails to serve its purpose, obviously, right? So you can't have two duplicate people of you. It's basically what it's saying, right? So basically, they've come up with a system in place to leverage zero knowledge proof technology to be able to verify people and make sure that these people are unique and they also cannot be copied, and so you don't have doppelgangers, right? And so looking at the chart, they basically kind of show a picture here of the proof of personhood mechanism and the deduplication, the authentication, and the recovery, and revocation, and also the expiry too as well, because there's potentially expiries, and then you can renew and re-verify and things of this nature as well by scanning your retina and so on and so forth, right? So you can see here, just going down the authentication, right? So it walks you through the entire process of how everything will be authenticated and why it is important to be authenticated. We won't get too much into that. Again, we will leave links down below for you guys to be able to read through the entire white paper on your own. But going down now, we have also the recovery. So they are trying to implement a social recovery, right? Which is something where it says if no user managed backup exists, but the user has a set up social recovery, the credentials can be recovered through the help of friends and family, right? So basically you can identify, let's say, a group of 5 people that you trust most, and maybe the social recovery backup could be like, okay, 3 out of these 5 people would need to prove that you are you, right, that you trust, and then you'd be able to regain access back to the network, right, the WorldCoin. So that's basically what that is trying to describe, right? And it's talking about restoring a user managed backup as well. And so the simplest method for credential recovery involves storing encrypted user managed backups of their credentials, right? So this allows users to restore their credentials, such as on a new device when their previous one is lost, right? So this is very important in case your device breaks or anything like that, that they do have contingency plans and mechanisms in place to be able to recover your backup identity, right? So scrolling on down, you can see that they have the revocation, right? And also the expiry, right? So we won't get too much into that, but they do have pictures here too as well, in case you get lost in regards to how that is being done. And it also talks about solving POP at scale, right? So they do want to scale the POP as it's the first of its kind, because there hasn't been anyone really been able to implement this. I know Pi Network was one of the protocols that were looking into doing a form of verification too as well, but they haven't fully dropped yet, right? So they're still in the stages of verifying everyone before they go ahead and drop on exchanges, so people can go ahead and trade those tokens peer-to-peer. But WorldCoin is a little bit more marketable, and it is backed and also made by Sam Altman, who is the founder of OpenAI, right? So when you look at the inclusivity and the scalability, right? So that's the entire point, right? The inclusivity and the scalability of the entire protocol, right? So it says the global POP should be maximally inclusive, right? i.e. available to everyone, right? This is the entire point of this protocol, right? So it says this means the mechanism should be able to distinguish between billions of people. There should be a feasible path to implementation at a global scale, and people should be able to participate regardless of nationality, race, gender, or economic means, right? So they also go on to talk about the fraud resistance, right? And the person-bound decentralization, privacy, all these different things. We'll just scroll through this right here. There is the obvious official ID verification, KYC, right? Where you are scanning your retina, right? So we scroll down here and we see all the different mechanisms. We see the biometrics that they need, right? To be able to facilitate the entire protocol, right? And they have all these different pertinent pieces of information that we won't get into. I just want to get a little bit into the technicals for you guys. Again, we will leave this link in the description for the white paper for anyone who's interested in looking at all these things. But I just want to get and break down the tokenomics, right? So these are the main points of things that I want to discuss through the duration of this particular video, right? About WorldCoin and how it could potentially have the capability to 50 to 100x the next bull cycle. I'm not entirely sure, but currently right now I think it's around 2.5 close to 3 million people right now who have scanned the retinas, and there is a possibility this is going to continue to grow and potentially 10x by the next bull run in just the term of users and wallet holders and things of this nature, right? So let's go to the tokenomics. So when we go to the tokenomics, right, and it talks about the mission, right? So it says the mission of WorldCoin project is to build the world's largest to build the world's largest identity and financial network as a public utility, giving ownership to everyone, right? So a key component of the project is the development of the infrastructure that will be important for a world where AI plays an increasingly important role, right? So when we scroll down here, we can see the project's goals regarding the world token, right? So here are the main 4 goals, right? The majority of the world tokens will be given to individuals, right? Simply for being a unique human, right? So you don't have to do anything. You don't need any, there's no economic barrier to entry, so to speak, right? So you just need to be a human, scan your retina, and you will receive your token allocation, right? So it also talks about the majority of the humans who are alive today will receive world tokens, right? Making world the most widely distributed digital currency, right? That's the goal that they want to do. They want to surpass Bitcoin, right? In the sense of being one of the most widely adopted tokens in the world, right? So the world token alongside world ID will be used for protocol governance, right? Obviously, so you can vote on new proposals and try to, move the network, shake the network, update the network, things of this nature, right? If you guys are familiar with governance, then, this should not be anything of news to you, right? So the world token will form the foundation of the world's largest privacy-preserving identity and financial network, right? So that's what they hope to achieve. And you can see the Ethereum contract address, right? When we click this here, right, we can go to the etherscan.io, right? And you can see on chain all the pertinent pieces of information that you need to see in regards to the token. You can see the different transactions that are going on, right? And all the different information. You can screen it on chain, right? So we won't get too much into the on chain analysis, right? So we're just going to go back to the WorldCoin, right? It's white paper, right? So when we look at the, oh, just got a little bit lost here. Okay, yeah. So when we look at the tokenomics, right? So let's look at the tokenomics breakdown. So yeah, so again, so you don't get scammed. You can see all the different pieces of information that you need to know, right? Because you know there's going to be people that are trying to scam you and give you a different token contract address. So just make sure that you're using the correct token address, right? Here again, guys, I repeat, we will leave a link down below for this, right? So as you can see here, individuals will receive their user grants on the Optimism mainnet, right? They're not going to try to distribute on Ethereum because the gas fees are too high, right? So they're telling you they're using Optimism, the layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum, so you can go and check that out there, right? When looking at the initial supply cap, right, it's going to be 10 billion, right? But it says the inflation is up to 1.5% per year, right? So inflation could start at the earliest after 15 years. Inflation rate is set by the protocol governance. Default inflation rate is 0%, right? So they talk about the circulating supply. So at launch, the maximum circulating supply will only be 143 million tokens, right? Once that threshold is reached, then they will start the inflation rates, right? So just so you guys can understand that. And when we talk about how to receive your free world tokens, right? It's subject to availability. Anyone in the world can download the World app and reserve user grants, right? To claim World, anyone can visit an orb in person to verify their uniqueness and humanness, right? So to basically scan your retina, right? So that's basically what they're saying there, right? So in regards to the availability, you can see that the world tokens are not available to people or companies who are residents of or are located, incorporated, or have registered agent in the United States, right? Or certain other restricted territories, right? However, World ID and TFH's World app remain available in the United States. More details can be found in terms of use. So important information for the US people watching this piece of information, right? So scroll down here, you can see the building a global identity and financial network. And it talks about here about how WorldCoin works and how they're incorporating zero knowledge proofs. So we won't get too much into that. Again, guys, and you can see here the distribution of orb verified individuals. They have the percentages here where you see all the different continents, right? You see Africa, you see Asia, you see Latin America or South America, right? And you see Europe. So Asia is at 32%, Africa at 31.4% in regards to orb distribution, right? So very important to take notice of that piece of data. And yeah, so when we scroll down here, we can look at the introduction of world. So they talk about all these different informations here. And we scroll down and we continue to see where the world token allocation will go to. So 75% will go to the community. The other 13.5% will go to TFH investors, right? With an initial development team will get 9.8%, right? And they will have reserves of around 1.7%, right? So keep in mind, majority is going to go to the community. So it is a really good dissemination of the tokens, and like the way that they have these allocation metrics set up in this way, it's more favorable to community and less favorable to the team and hungry investors, right? So that's something to basically keep in mind. And then they have the unlock supply schedule. So they have the vesting schedule, right? So when you look it up to 15 years, you can see basically all the pertinent information that you need to know, right? About the 1.5% per year in regards to, it says after year 15, the governments may enact an inflation rate of up to 1.5% per year, right? So very important. For simplicity, the figure assumes that all 2.5 billion world allocated to the TFH and initial development team will be assigned at launch, right? So when you scroll down here, we can see the amount of world unlocked during the time period, right? So they have all the different pertinent information in there in regards to what it's going to look like at launch, right? Versus what it's going to look like at the end of the 15-year period, right? So you can see how these tokens will be allocated and distributed, right? So the inflation is quite good in regards to that. So we scroll down, and we can see the foundation's token allocation goals, right? So it shows you all the different goals and how they plan to allocate those tokens from the user grants, the network operation, the ecosystem fund, and so on and so forth, right? So yeah, they have welcome grants, recurring grants, they have governance over user grants, all these different types of grants, right, that you can take a look at too as well. And yeah, so scrolling down, you can see the technical information too as well. Again, all of the contracts, the legitimate contracts for Optimism and Plus for the Ethereum, right? It's both on here too. And you can see all the different wallets from the investors and the team. So you can actually track that, right? They're being very open and transparent in regards to how the tokens and the funding is being moved, and you can track that on chain, on the chain analysis. We won't get that into this video, but just so you guys know, for those who understand chain analysis, they also have a Q&A. And yeah, so this is pretty much it in regards to the tokenomics. So this could be a potential 50 to 100x in the next bull cycle for you guys. I'm not entirely sure how this project is going to work and how it's going to function in the long term, but it's something that I would recommend for you guys to look into and see if this is something that you want to invest in. As always, guys, none of this is financial advice, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and peace.